obviously a disappointing opener. Enough misery to go around in all three phases. Unacceptable performance. I won't accept it. This team better not accept it. We've got, obviously, some work to do.
I'm Big O.
Hey, like I said, you heard it at the beginning of the show. Like I said, you heard the disgust in Tomlin's voice. And, and there was a picture at the beginning of the show segment. But you know what? He was disgusted. There are a lot of things going on in Pittsburgh, and they're not all good.
One thing I noticed about this locker room interview after the game was Tomlin was sweating. Why was he sweating? He was hot. Very angry, very disappointed. He was hot. And if you can go look back at, other games that the Steelers lost, he's calmly telling you what the situation was, what happened, what we need to do to regroup. But you can tell by looking in his eyes, Big Tiz, the sweat pouring down his face. He was angry. He was upset, extremely disappointed. And you know what? I did not want to be in that locker room after that game.
Exactly. I mean, guys not putting forth 100% effort, that hurts any quality of a football team. And that's what happened Sunday. It was a horrific thing to watch. And I mean, if you're a Steeler fan and you're out there watching this game, I was to the point where I was ready to go somewhere else. As I spoke to Big O and I told him I'm ready. I can't deal with watching this game and watching the way that football was being played that night. Big O, I don't know how you took that game and the aspects of that game.
Let me try to put it in perspective. It's kind of like that horror movie when you're trying to watch a horror movie and you're hiding your head because you don't want to see what's coming up. But you're always watching, you're always looking. That's how I felt. I couldn't turn away, couldn't look away from the light. I had to look at it. I just could not stop. Maybe because I was hoping that they would turn us around and have that big play just to get things going, but it never happened.
Well, you know what? There are a lot of things that contribute to this loss. I mean, I believe you came up with a great added for a name of the things that weren't achieved in this loss. And, but let's start off with some of the positives out of this loss.
Yes, we always,
if we can find some, put it like that.
We always have to focus on the positives. And right from the get-go, 3 seconds into the game, probably the fastest points ever in an NFL football game, regular season that is, safety, 3 seconds into the game. And people were wondering, what was the kick? Why did Swisham kick the ball the way he did? Because he has a hamstring injury, and he played through it. He's day-to-day right now. We'll get into the injuries later, but that was one of the main reasons why Swisham didn't kick the ball, the opening kick, the way he did. It wasn't planned.
Exactly.
For us, fortunately, things worked out, and it looked like it was going to be a great day, especially when we got the ball back and we marched down the field. It was great. Third down conversions, we were 100%. We got down there, and then, Big Tiz,
then you know what? It's hard to say and it's hard to look at, but that was basically the positives of the game.
That's it?
Yeah, basically. But let's look at another aspect as well, because I did examine the fact that our special teams played decent.
They played very well.
To be punting out of we're basically always punting from our end zone, and for them to have to defend. And they pretty much kept things contained, so I was pretty happy about that. So the special team side of it played decent. So I'll add that as another positive. But beyond that, I don't see a lot of things going on.
Not only was the acquisition of punter Zoltan Mesko from New England. I guess New England released him. We released Drew Butler, Moran. We released those guys in hopes that this punter would be our future. And you know what? He did a great job. He averaged 44.1 yards a punt. And that's only because his last punt was a shank, was a bad kick the whole day. You got to give this guy credit. He gets the ball, he gets it away, and so hopefully we won't have any problem with block punts this year. But that Zoltan Mesko, great pickup for the Steelers.
Exactly.
Another positive.
Well, you know what, Big O, the positives were so few. Let's dove into the negatives, which were massive.
But wait, let's not get away. Let's absorb these positives. Penalties, only 4 penalties for 67 yards, and another phantom penalty that kills us. That pass interference. You take that away, Big Tiz, they don't score on that drive, and game is tied.
Exactly.
But you know what? You can't rely on the referees winning the game for you.
Right.
You have to not put yourself in that position. But Big Tez, we're good for 1-2 phantom penalties a game.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's a lot of things with the Steelers. We have to learn how to get by these penalties and play. Penalties happen to every team in a game, no matter what. If you get called for them or if you don't get called for them, you got to be able to play through them. And the Steelers are right now, they're having so many issues, on the offensive side of the ball. The defense actually didn't really do too bad.
No.
But the offensive side of the ball is horrendous at this point. And like Big O said, there were some negatives. We can hold on to those negatives, but it's basically like scraping at the bottom of the barrel.
I'm still grasping, Big Tiz. I'm still grasping.
And usually the foam floats to the top. We got nothing but grease and gunk at the top.
Grease and gunk, but we're skimming it. We're skimming it, folks. Averaging 9 penalties and a plus 100 yards per game, 4 penalties for 6-7 yards. That's not bad. Steeler offensive line, they're either hurt or they're holding everybody.
Exactly.
So we're going to get into that. Now we're getting into the muck.
Exactly.
The grime, the negatives.
Now the negatives. The negatives were, the list was so insurmountable, it's ridiculous.
Huge.
To the fact, well, let's start off with number 1. And everybody's going to attack this, the offensive line.
Oh, boy.
The offensive line, true to fashion for years beyond this year, 2013 season, they were horrendous. The offensive line, if they like Big O alluded to earlier, if they weren't holding, they were not blocking, or they were missing blocks, or actually they were hurting each other.
Right. Yeah, and we'll get into that. But also, when you're 300 pounds, and we talked about this last season, that being an offensive lineman really is a hard job. I mean, you have assignments, you're pulling, whatever. But you know what, folks? This is your job.
Exactly.
You do this on a daily basis. You did last year, training camp. And I can understand trying to give them a little leeway because this was the first time that the O-line was healthy and playing together. So you've got to get used to, playing your exact position. So if you were a guard last year, you're probably playing tackle last year because of injuries.
Exactly.
Now we're trying to get into this. But you know what? When you're 300 pounds, standing up and getting in somebody's way, slowing them down, folks, I got to draw the line here. I've defended the lineman for a long time, and rightfully so because it's a hard job.
Right.
But when you're that size and weight, to slow somebody down and block them so your quarterback can have a second or two to throw the ball, I'm sorry. You lost me.
Exactly. And the negatives just don't stop there. They're so insurmountable. Like I said, we can go from the offensive lines, and actually, we'll talk about the injuries later, but the offensive line, the blocking schemes were horrific. You had guys running to the quarterback wide open in certain lanes. I mean, it left no room for him to be able to pass the ball, really. And realistically, when Ben was actually passing the ball, he was almost passing the ball under duress, which is ridiculous to be going 2 and 3 years with the offensive line blocking at this level.
Very true. We also had a couple drop passes that, your normal average receiver couldn't make. But when you wear the black and gold, you're supposed to make those catches. Anything near your hands, you're supposed to catch the ball.
Exactly.
And there's a couple drops by Sanders, a couple by Brown. I know key catches that we have to catch these balls. We have to make these first downs because you know what? It's like a crapshoot. Ben's back there. He only has so many seconds to throw the ball, and if he does get a chance to get the ball away, you have to catch it.
Exactly.
You have to catch it.
And like I said, there were like what I alluded to earlier about the blocking scheme, and the blocking scheme also went into the running game because the running backs, of course, were in the backfield blocking, but when they're not blocking, they were actually giving the ball back to the Tennessee Titans. So, and that's another sore subject there. We also have Isaac Redman. He coughed the ball up 2 times Two times on Sunday.
Luckily, we got a bounce, and it came back to him, and he got it back. So
right.
Doesn't make it anything better, though. Utilizing tight ends. Non-existent. You look at the stats, folks. You watch the game film. Not one time did Ben Roethlisberger make an attempt to throw to a tight end. Were they in blocking? I don't think so. 5 sacks.
Exactly.
That doesn't account for any blocking schemes or anybody doing any blocking. The no-huddle offense was a joke. You know, the reason for no-huddle offense is to get your guys up there, surprise the defense. You're ready, they're not, you run the play. You don't call a no-huddle offense, have the guys stand up there, you know, in their stances, and you stand back there and you wait till the clock runs down. That's not a no-huddle offense. I mean, now the defense is seeing you set up. You're giving them that more time to see what you might be getting into as far as lining up and snapping the ball and doing the play.
I agree with you totally. But you know what? Let's jump into the big enchilada of the night. The injuries. The Steelers had injuries, unbelievable. And this was almost a microcosm of last year when we had so many heavy injuries at the beginning of the season.
So true.
And here we are again. Game 1, injuries, unbelievable. I mean, season-ending injuries, which is unbelievable. I'm going to let Big O start from
Now, we already touched base on Sweezum, the kicker. Possible hamstring injury. He played the game. He's a kicker.
Right.
You know, let's not get over dramatic here. You know, that he played with a torn hamstring or a pulled hamstring. He's a kicker. He comes on the field, 3% of the game? But still, that's what he does. He uses his leg.
Right. But those 3% are
huge.
Huge.
We need him for field goals. He made an extra point, a couple kickoffs. But still, Larod Stevens-Howling, knee injury. We're not quite sure if it's season ending. He's got a couple MRIs to take. It's not looking good for next game, I'll tell you that. I mean, you could cross him off your fantasy football team for a couple weeks.
Right.
A good pickup would be Felix Jones. I'm not selling him, but he's on my team. That's a great handcuff. But as we get into it, Larry Foote, ruptured biceps. Now, we've seen this before.
Right.
Last year, it seems like to be the new injury in the NFL. What do you think that is, Tiz? Do you think it's because of the equipment? It's not, or
I don't know. A lot of it, to be honest, I think a lot of it has to deal with now with the new way that these guys are taught to tackle now, because nobody's using their heads and things like that. So more or less, it's with your shoulders. So then you start seeing guys getting separated shoulders, or more or less you start seeing guys trying to find different ways to tackle somebody and grab them. And to me, that's where a lot of it seems to be coming from, because now you're seeing a lot more frequent than you used to.
Right. Now, not to get off on a tangent here, but I think this is a topic that we could briefly, stick into the show about. You're a football player, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, with all the new rules coming, hitting the head and the concussions and all this stuff, and guys hitting below the knee and taking your knee out.
Right.
I would rather, now this is just me, my personal opinion, I would rather get a concussion. I would rather let somebody hit me up high, get a concussion, as opposed to somebody hitting me low. And I'll tell you why. Concussions last for a couple weeks. Granted, nothing's good. An injury is not good. I'm not promoting injuries, folks. But when you get to the level of injuries, I would rather have a concussion because I could come back from a concussion.
Right.
You hit me low, and you hit my knee, you tear my ACL, my MCL, I'm done, possibly for my career.
Right.
But you know what? I'm coming back from a concussion. So that's, what's your take on that, Tiz?
I can agree with that, and you're right, because the concussion you can't come back, but it depends on the amount of concussions that you have.
Right, but then again, you're talking about the how many times you get hit with the knee, or your ankle, your foot.
Right.
Those things take months, weeks, even careers. But enough with that.
Yeah, let's just hope that that's not another problem that the Steelers have to be facing down the road of our trying to get healthy. And
right.
Right now, the injury list just keeps piling up. Like you said, Larry Foote with his
ruptured bicep,
and Stephen Howling.
Right. Howling doesn't need surgery as of yet. We haven't got the word. However, but you could just say that if you're getting surgery this year, your season's done.
Right.
So somebody put on Facebook, what do you think Adrian Robinson coming back to play the role of Foot, since nobody's picked him up yet?
That might be a good fit, and actually that was a good thing to bring up. Actually, you know what? We're going to be also telling you guys about some different things we got off our Facebook and off our Twitter feeds, and we're going to share it with you fans. We're going to answer those questions as well, just to put that in there. But that's actually a very good idea, and I mean, I would like to look at that option, because right now we have to look at any option we can.
Absolutely. So when we come back, we're going to break off the commercial. We got to pay the bills. We come back, we're going to have the game stats from the Tennessee game. It's going to be ugly, folks, so don't eat anything yet. We'll be back after this commercial break. I'm Big O.
And I'm Big Tiz. We'll see you after these
Steeler Nation Live.
SteelerNationLive.net. It's live. Join Big O, Big T every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. New York's only in-depth analysis of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Black and gold. Game review. Injury report. Releases. Who got fired? Fantasy stats. Fantasy football. Rumor. Anything and everything you want to know about the black and gold. SteelerNationLive.net.
Uniform Express, located on 1408 Buffalo Road, Rochester, New York, for your police, fire, or EMS supplies. One of Rochester's top and finest suppliers of shirts, pants, shoes, boots, and accessories for your professional uniform needs. Uniform Express also does embroidery and screen print for team uniforms, jerseys, and corporations. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also go to their website at www.uniformexpress.com or call Brian at 585-529-4245. That's 585-529-4245. And let Brian know you heard his ad on our show, Steeler Nation Live. Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live. I'm Big O, my partner in crime,
Big Tiz.
and we're going to start talking about the game stats. That horrible loss to the Tennessee Titans at home. Score 16-9 was the final. Shouldn't have been that way, but however, we started off on a great note. 2 points, safety. It was a baseball score. It was a hockey score. It was like the Penguins out there.
Right.
2-0. Pittsburgh Steelers. Who'd have thought? We get the ball back. We march down the field, Big Tiz. We get in the red zone. And what happens?
Absolutely nothing. Well, you know what? The Redmond turnover happened.
Redmond in the red zone.
Which, you know what? Let's talk about that real quickly for a second. That Redmond turnover kind of miffed me because as I watched the clock tick down into 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and basically we hurried up to the line, which to me, whenever Pittsburgh goes through those type of motions, they hurry up to the line to get a play off and things like that.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens good for Pittsburgh.
And you're right, Big Tiz. This was also a topic of discussion with Roethlisberger after the game where he was interviewed, and one reporter asked him, you saw the clock coming down, tick, 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 tick. You had a chance to call timeout, and you didn't. Why? And Roethlisberger's response was that he had the personnel in there.
Right.
Not everybody was in. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but shouldn't you want everybody on the offense in tune with the play? But according to Roethlisberger, I guess only the players who were involved in the play, which I think were supposed to be everybody, And that's why he didn't call timeout, because he felt that the personnel that he had during the play, on the play, with the play, that they could do the play. And you know what? Maybe he might be thinking next time that it's not like we didn't have timeouts. It was early enough in the game. You know, why would you want to do this to your team? So,
well, like I said, it's a young season, so hopefully that was a learning curve, but I don't know how. But anyway, we'll go with the score and the stats for this game.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, from what I'm looking at, the Steelers had 195 yards of offense. Not a lot. Not a lot at all.
Absolutely not.
And that offense, I'm surprised they had that much.
Right. Roethlisberger, by stats, didn't look like he had a bad game. 21 for 33 for, 168 yards? However, he had one interception and that one late touchdown.
Right.
So, I mean, the Cotchery, that was...
And that was kind of, the game was almost to the point of being almost out of hand.
Absolutely.
So, you know what? But you know what? He threw the touchdown, which made it closer. So it gave it almost somewhat of a respectable score of a 16-9 score.
Right.
But one of the other facets of the game, the Titans, they had total yards of 229 total yards.
Right.
Which, you know what? Kudos to the defense. The defense were put in a lot of bad positions, and they held it as long as they could. You know, you're trying to hold these two premier backs from the Tennessee Titans. Sean Green now, who's a phenomenal, good-sized back. And now, when you take him out, then you put in Chris Johnson, who's a breakaway back.
And let's not forget Jackie Battle, too. He had
another big
yards.
back.
He had 8 carries, 21 yards, and TD. When you hold Chris Johnson to under 80 yards, and you hold him like 70 yards, you're doing a good thing. And there was a couple things I liked on the defense when we did the splash plays. I don't know if you folks caught it when Palomalo timed at one.
Oh yeah, that was a nice play.
That was a great splash play. And Jarvis Jones also had a sack. He came. You watch a Locker in the pocket, all of a sudden Jarvis Jones comes out of nowhere and levels him.
Exactly.
Sweet. You know, this is something that we built a dynasty on. This type of smash mouth defense. Why don't we see this? Why don't we see this?
And like I said,
we talk about the splash plays all the time. We need splash plays. We need to do splash plays. We talk about it. Coaches talk about it. Players talk about it. Splash plays. Great. They're great. Why don't we do more of it? I think that we need to do more gambling on defense, because that puts more pressure. Go to one-on-one. You know what? It's not working anywhere else. Let's switch it up. But let's not get on a tangent there, Big Tiz.
Well, let's look at the Steelers' running game. Stephen Howling, 6 carries for 19 yards. And like I said, like we alluded to earlier in the broadcast, the fact that, that a lot of that goes back to the offensive line, not executing blocks well and things like that. And Isaac Redman, 8 carries for 9 yards. I mean, where are you going with that? And a lot of teams are starting to figure that out, and they see this, and they know that it's working.
Right.
So you get Tennessee putting 7 to 8, almost 8 men in the box, really. So basically, you can't block 8 men with 5 or 6 men.
They're forcing Ben to throw the ball. They're saying you're gonna need to beat us in the air.
Right, exactly.
And obviously, you know that's not happening. Why is that not happening? Because Ben can't get the ball out fast enough. So we bring in Todd Haley. We give him a free pass last year, and this year's not looking so good. Especially, Big Tiz, when you don't utilize your tight ends.
Exactly.
And we touched base on it earlier that if the tight ends were in blocking, they're not very good at blocking, because with 5 sacks, blocking is non-existent. So we have to air the ball up. How do we do that? Short passes. That's how you spread out the defense. That's how you get the guys back on their heels. That's when you can start doing the running the ball up the middle. That's when you can do the play actions. Now, what I was not impressed with, Redmond. I thought Redmond was a north-south runner. Why is he trying to run east and west? He doesn't have the speed to get to corners like Mendenhall used to.
Right.
Or Willie Parker. He doesn't have that speed. He's got the bruising capabilities. That's why we kept him, because he can catch the ball in the backfield and he can run up the middle with it. What's this running on the end stuff? I had to watch myself in that one. What is it? You know what I mean?
I agree with you.
Up the middle. You have to, you have to hurt and punish the defensive line. You got to get them tired. You got to wear them down. Running to the outside, you're just letting these guys get warmed up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And, well, like you said, well, you would figure with 8 men in the box or 7, 8 men in the box, whatever it is that they're coming with, the Tennessee Titans or anybody else who plays the Steelers, the fact is that you figure the Steelers will start going to the short passing game,
right?
Which should make it easier and kind of make those linebackers and everybody drop back off. But for some reason, we can't handle it. I mean, Antonio Brown, five receptions for 71 yards. Sanders, 7 for 57. Okay numbers, but like I said,
that's great.
0 touchdowns on all of them. And Kotry, 4 for 34 yards, and then he had the touchdown near the end of the game, which maybe they figured it out by then. But
can we call that a junk touchdown? I mean,
right now in Pittsburgh, any kind of touchdown is good for us.
That's true. That's very true. And let's get back to the defense. You know you're not having a good day when your safety is your lead tackler. With Clark had 13 tackles, and he, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just it's
mind-boggling.
Your linebackers need to step up, plug the holes, and what also killed us was the third down conversions. Tennessee converted. I can't tell you it was a high percentage. I don't want to get misquoted or nothing, but
right.
Those last couple drives where they scored third down conversions, especially, well, you can't include that phantom pass interference, but you know what? Like I said earlier, you can't rely on the referees to win the game for you. You need to win the game for yourself. You can't put yourself in that position, but it doesn't help. Big Tiz.
Hey, there you have it. Our game stats from that game versus the Tennessee Titans. Next up, we actually have the Cincinnati Bengals, and Pittsburgh will be traveling down to Cincinnati Bengals. So it should be an interesting game, and like I said, we got to pull out all the stops that we need to pull out for the Steelers to win that game. But we're going to go to a commercial break, and we also want you guys to stay tuned for Rudy Root Dog Reyes, who's going to be doing this report live from L.A.
Oh, boy, we can't wait to hear that. I hope the weather's better out there than it is here. It's kind of chilly. Here we go with the weather.
Yep.
Got it chilly here in Rochester.
And we got a surprise for you on the weather this week, too, on Steeler Nation Live. Next up after this commercial break.
4-of-a-kind consignment and resale, Jeromesville, Ohio. Everyone knows everybody. Everyone calls your friend. You don't need an invitation. Just kick off your shoes and come on in. At 4-of-a-kind consignment and resale, they have antiques, vintage items, electric items, clothing, and housewares. 4-of-a-kind consignment and resale is a 4-generation family-owned establishment that also has Muffler & More, Spade Web Design and Publishing, and Spade Enterprises, a business that loves and cares about the community. Even though they are in Ohio, 4-of-a-kind consignment and resale has a ton of Steeler items for sale now and even more during the season. They're closed on Mondays, but they're open Tuesdays through Sundays. Call Heidi. Her phone number is 567-203-7858. That's Heidi at 567-203-7858. Or look for her on the web at spadeinc.com/4oak.html. They ship everywhere.
Join us as we leave from our East Coast Steeler Nation Live studios and we go out west to Rudy Root Dog Reyes, checking it live and giving us a lot of info coming in from the West Coast on the Steelers signings and cuts here on Steeler Nation Live.
Root Dog, welcome to Steeler Nation Live. How is everything going on the west side of Steeler Nation Live?
Well, Big Tiz, we're excited here on the West Coast. Everyone is anticipating a great 2013-2014 Steeler football season. Of course, we have opening day, September 8th at home versus the Tennessee Titans.
Root Dog, with the Steelers doing their final cuts to get down to that magic number 53, there are some notable cuts out there. And of that process, what's your feeling on some of the guys that were released during the last form of cuts?
Well, my belief is the cuts were looked into very heavily prior to actually making them as a part of the coaching staff, and in such a way that it will benefit the run and passing game. A lot of mixed reviews here on the West Coast as to the release of Jonathan Dwyer. what the coaches were thinking, how they came to the decision to release him, also how the Steelers' run game will exist with Redmond at starting, Stevens Howling to follow up, and Felix Jones in the backfield during this 2013-2014 Steeler football season. When you don't have a strong work ethic, it is interpreted as to what play style you will have on the field. If you don't make the cut, well, you will be cut. The cuts were vital and necessary. Will be better with the cuts that were made. Ownership's been doing this a very long time, so there's a method to their madness, so to speak.
What are some of the feelings out there on the West Coast about the progress of the Steelers rookies in this 2013 campaign?
We're definitely on the 2013 and a huge campaign we have, Big Tiff. Well, that's a good question. Jarvis Jones landed on the field. He made a significant impact. And my suspicion came true when he was announced as defensive co-starter, which is unparalleled in Steelers history for a rookie to start. The Steelers organization has never started a rookie linebacker in over 80 years. Shamarko Thomas has been an excellent student for All-Pro safety Troy Polamalu to take under his mentorship to further extend his capabilities and be elusive, also a hard-hitting safety. However, Landry Jones hasn't fared equally as well with his rookie draft classmates, with costly interceptions, errant decisions, and when in the 2-minute drill did not look very comfortable in the pocket. I'm going to look for Landry Jones to be an understudy of either Ben Roethlisberger and or Bruce Gradkowski during the season. Landry has a positive upside, however. With being the understudy, he will be learning a lot, holding that clipboard for a good part of the season. But I believe he'll be back up to Ben in the future.
Also to note, the return of Heath Miller to the Steelers sideline wearing that old black and gold again. What's the feeling out there on the return of Heath Miller to the Steelers starting lineup?
I'll tell you, Big Tiz, Heath Miller has been upgraded from the PUP list to being able to play. However, his time for return is questionable at this point, and only a decision that Tomlin and the training staff can determine based on his off-season progress. I'm excited personally. I'm just ecstatic to see this all-pro tight end who led the league in receptions in the red zone last year. I look forward to his full participation during the regular season moving forward.
Hey, Rudy, like always, another great segment here on Steeler Nation Live. We here on the East Coast of Steeler Nation love seeing and hearing the support coming out from the West Coast, from you guys. The West Coast of Steeler Nation Live, you can rest assured that you got a good leader in Rude Dog leading you guys from the West Coast. Hey, Rudy, love you here on Steeler Nation Live.
Hey, thanks, Big Tiz. Big O, it's my pleasure to bring the best of the West to Steeler Nation flavor, to Steeler Nation Live, seen all over the world. And if I have one word, that's Pittsburgh.
All right. Next up on Steeler Nation Live.
It's McGinney's Sports Pub, located at 2246 East River Road. A perfect blend of Irish charm and Italian cuisine. From Calabria favorites like calamari to chicken French to the new signature dish like the Steel City Deli.
The Rothless Burger.
Everything is delicious and prepared fresh for you. They offer a full lineup of your favorite beverages with drink specials daily, and don't forget their $5 Monster Bomb.
Ice cold beer.
All day, every day. With 2 floors of seating and 20 high-def televisions, there's not a bad seat in the house to catch every minute of the NFL action.
Watch what you want.
McGinney's is the official home of the Rochester Steelers fan club.
Steelers!
So come on down to McGinney's Sports Pub, 2246 East River Road in Henrietta.
At Grease Lightning, we offer fast automotive service, specializing in oil changes and auto repairs. We offer convenient yet comprehensive maintenance and repair service, fast and no appointment necessary. At Grease Lightning, we offer the best prices on top name brands. We get you in, out, and on your way, just like Grease Lightning. Grease Lightning is locally owned and operated, so come on down to 2061 Chiley Avenue here in Rochester and talk to Charles because he's in charge. You can also call Charles at 585-563-7939 or go to our website at mygreaselightning.com.
Hey guys, welcome back. And like I said, we want to thank Rudy Rude Dog Reyes again, bringing it live from Los Angeles, California, where the sun is out, the palm trees are swaying. A little bit different from here right now, but you know what? We'll live with it right now because it's all black and gold.
I think we should switch. Let Rudy, come to Rochester. Let us go to California, and we'll see how that works.
Hey, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I'm there. Sure's up.
Hey, well, one of the things we forgot to mention a couple of stats from that game, and I'm gonna let Big O allude to some of the stats that we forgot to mention earlier.
All right, 195 yards was the fewest since Week 2 in 2010 against, you guessed it,
Tennessee Titans.
The Tennessee Titans. 32 yards rushing were the fewest since Week 12 in 2006. The Steelers have won 10 opening games in a row until yesterday. And the fewest points in a home opener since 2000, 9 points, Big Tiz.
Wow.
And that was the year in 2000 that them Dirty Birds went all the way and won it all.
We're not hoping for that not to happen again, though.
No, because everybody in our division lost.
Yep. Back in first place, guys. Don't forget it.
Well, I don't know about that. If it's going by stats and points, I think we're dead last. But
you know what? We got another game coming up this weekend, and this week is going to be against our division rivals, Cincinnati Bengals. A huge game. A lot of ramifications are going to be going on in this game, and the Steelers have to be mistake-free to win this game, especially away from Pittsburgh. Seeing that we can't play mistake-free at Pittsburgh, so maybe they'll work away.
Now, where are we playing? The zoo? You go into Cincinnati, Paul Brown Stadium. It's going to probably rain. It's going to be, the weather. It's going to be cool. It's going to be in the low 60s, upper 50s. They did say it might have a 20% chance of rain. So, folks, bring your gear, bring your other gear. Also, not to get off on a tangent, Big Tiz, but, folks, if you're heading out to the stadium, do not forget about the new NFL bag policy. We wanted to hit you up earlier in the show, but when you get so emotional and you want to talk about the Steelers stuff, you kind of forget things. We're still learning how to do this show, but you know what? We want you to have your NFL football experience to be as safe, fast, and efficient as possible. So please, if you're not aware of the new NFL bag policy, please check your local stadium. Go on the website, check the Steelers website. Check the Bengals website, see how they run at Paul Brown Stadium. So, folks, have a good time at the game, and we want you to get in there. We want you to be happy, not disappointed, upset before the game starts.
Exactly.
So, getting back, memories, Big Tiz. The last time the Bengals and the Steelers met, remember that fateful day? One of those Christmas presents. It wasn't that sweater that you open up from Grandma, and it wasn't that CD or DVD that you never wanted to get. Yes, it was that Christmas present. It was a 13-10 loss handed to us at home by these Bengals.
It's the very same Bengals. And you know what? We played well enough to stay in that game as well, but we did do the things we needed to, just like what we're doing now, to win that game.
Right. It seems like we're trying more things to lose games than we're trying to win games.
Right.
Roethlisberger had a pick six, third down and forever, and we let Green catch that ball. I think it was a 21-yard bomb that put him in field goal range with 4 ticks on the clock left. Not much you could do there. They win it in regulation. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow. And getting back, stop me if you've heard this before, Big Tiz. Roethlisberger. 220 yards passing, 1 TD, 2 interceptions. Does that sound familiar?
It sounds familiar.
But wait. Let's not stop there. Isaac Redman, okay? 11 carries.
Right.
50 yards. No touchdowns. Steelers penalized, 5 for 63 yards. And we already talked about Ben's pick 6. So you can't win games when you don't score points. Unlike yesterday, or Sunday, rather, that 3 quarters you got 2 points on the board. It's not hockey. It's not baseball. It's not tennis. You can't win games like that. There's no way, and we're showing it, we're proving it, that you have to score. So enough with that. Let's talk about the preview. Big Tiz, what do we need to do to beat these Bengals in Cincinnati playing the way we're playing right now?
Well, the main thing is, I'll start off with something that you alluded to, when we're in private conversation. Big O was always alluding, saying that the Steelers need ale. And when he said ale, I'm thinking of maybe a beer or
nice
something
cold,
like that.
nice cold brew. Absolutely.
But it's not that. Big O alluded to that he needed ale. Big O, tell him what ale is. ALE.
That would be an acronym for accountability.
Exactly.
For A.
Exactly.
Right? We have to be accountable for your position. If you're a center, if you're a guard, tackle, tight end, running back, wide receiver, you have to know what you're doing out there. You have to be accountable for the decisions that you make on the field. Is it going to be productive? Is it not going to be productive?
Exactly.
Okay? L, leadership. Just because you got that captaincy, that's just a label, Big Tiz. I believe that we are lacking leadership. There's really no true player. We all say, oh, Ben's a leader, Mike Tomlin's a leader, he's a coach, but I'm not seeing that. The past 5 games, there's actually nobody can go to, hey, let's get these guys going.
Right.
Leadership. And E, the big one, and Mike Tomlin talks about this a lot, execution. You have to execute your plays. You have to be accountable for your plays, and you have to lead. A leader is only as good as their followers, Big Tiz.
Right.
And if your followers aren't following, then you have no leader, and that's what's happening right now. We have to come together, and we're not starting anything, Big Tiz. No, let's our folks. There's no locker room problems.
Right.
There's no rift between Haley and Roethlisberger. There's no rift between Haley or Tomlin.
No.
It's just we need to come together as a team, and we're lacking those the big 3 things. And an ice cold beer right now wouldn't be bad
to go along with that ale.
That's right.
But I think one of the keys to start off with the Steelers to trying to win this game is they have to begin. I want to start off with the offensive line prowess, and the offensive line has to step up and take command. And things happen to teams, injuries, different things. But you have to be resilient and get by them. So the offensive line has to make a big step up. And some of the other keys that they have to get away to victory is that the Steelers have to shut down the passing attack of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Now, you know that the Steelers have a reputation of stopping the run, and we're doing a pretty decent job. However, teams are aware of our struggles in the secondary.
Oh, yes.
And Willie Gay, Cortez Allen, he's hurt. I don't think we touched base on him. Cortez Allen has a high ankle sprain. He's a no-go. So we don't have to worry about him. So we won't talk about him. And Troy's being Troy. He's doing these splash plays. But you know what? We need to see more of those.
Right, exactly.
So how can we beat the Steelers? They need to jump ahead. They need to score fast and score a lot. And how they do that? In the air. We have to shut this down. We have to put more pressure on Dalton. We have to get Jarvis in there quicker and sooner. We have to get Worlds in there quicker and sooner. We have to get Timmons in there quicker. We have to do stunts. We have to talk about this all the time, Big Tiz. The more we do splash plays and stunts, look what happens. We have 2 sacks already. Preseason game, Jarvis Jones, splash play fumble. We have to be more aggressive on defense. We can't sit back and try to defend. We have to be more aggressive on defense and prevent that. Once we get pressure on Dalton, and we proved in the past, Big Tiz, once we get in this guy's face, he can't hit. We played Green the game before that.
Right.
Less than 100 yards passing. The first game we played him last year, not the one that they took us out of the playoffs with. But once we contain him, we win.
Exactly.
And the stopping the rush, that's just natural. El natural is what they say. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's in talk about a running game. We need to establish our running game. We need to get the no-huddle offense and utilize it like it's supposed to be utilized. These delayed draws up the middle on 3rd and forever, you got to stop that. Let the guys come in, do a screen. If you're going to do a screen, do a screen. Do a bubble screen. Get these tight ends involved. Maybe, just maybe, we'll see Heath Miller next game.
And that's another thing. The tight ends have to be heavily utilized in this game because just like the Tennessee Titans, everybody's going to try to follow a roadmap which they see working. Why break the chain? So everybody's going to start filling up that box to shut down the run and force Ben to beat them because right now they're looking at Ben as he can't beat them. So he has to show that with these short dump offs to the tight ends, you got the backup tight ends that are pretty well and capable. Paulson and Spaeth is there as well. Excuse me. But the fact that these guys have to go and they have to catch these short routes, and these are open up and make the linebackers drop. Well, the run will be an important part of the Steelers establishing the prominence they need to win this game against the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's right. You want to set up the run, establish the run, set up the pass. Short pass, long pass, any kind of pass. As long as he's not getting sacked.
Exactly.
Let's start the run. And if Redmond does start, let's run him up the middle, not from side to side.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, he can handle the load that way. We have to punish it. We have to wear down the defensive line. And by running from side to side, like we talked about earlier, that's not a way to do it. You're just getting these guys some exercise.
Exactly. Exactly. So like I said, we have a lot of aspects there that we need to do for keys to victory to beating the Cincinnati Bengals. And you know what? The Bengal game is going to be one thing, and we're going to have a special piece for you. And right now, we're going to tell you how the weather is going to be in Cincinnati this week. So stay tuned.
For Steeler Nation Live with your Steeler future weather forecast for next Monday night game in Cincinnati, Ohio. If you plan on traveling to Paul Brown Stadium, here's what you can expect. The daily high is going to be in the mid-70s with the lows around the high 50s. So by game time, you can expect it to be in the low to mid-60s. There is a 10 to 20% chance of rain, so bring your poncho, bring your umbrella, bring anything you can to stay dry and stay warm. This is Big O for Steeler Nation Live with your future weather forecast.
Welcome back, Steeler fans, and what we're going to step into a new topic right now. We're going to talk about gone but not forgotten. And these are the Steeler guys that used to be with the Steelers, did a lot of things to help us get to Super Bowl rings and Super Bowl titles, but these guys are gone, and we're keeping tabs on them. So we're going to talk about the three guys we have here that we're going to keep tabs on, which is Rashad Mendenhall, Mike Wallace, and James Harrison.
Let's see how they're doing, Big Tiz. We compiled stats from not from the preseason, because that's preseason, but from game one. Let's talk about how Mr. Wallace is doing in Miami. Do you think he's loving it down there, Big Tiz?
I'm pretty sure he's loving the warm weather, but right now he's got to get his hands a little warm because he only had one catch for 15 yards.
How many TDs, Big Tiz?
Zero.
So far, not that big of a loss. Let's run down the list. Shall we say Rashad Mendenhall? How's he doing, Big Tiz, out in West Coast, Arizona?
Well, Rashad Mendenhall had a better game than Wallace did. Rashad Mendenhall, 16 carries for 60 yards, which is pretty decent. Did better than any Steeler back out there. But you know what? The season is still young, and he looks
Steeler
good.
Backs, the combination.
Exactly.
It's sad. But almost Steeler-esque like.
Exactly.
We had the last time we seen a 100-yard rusher was back mid-season last year. We had three different running backs over 100 yards, and we hit a brick wall. We don't know what it is. But you know what? We have one more player.
James Harrison had one sparkling tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. Unbelievable, but one tackle, and he made it. So
how many sacks?
None.
How many forced fumbles?
None.
Interceptions?
None.
Did he show up? Was he playing?
He showed up, but like I said, he had a tackle. And probably did a lot better than some of what we did this weekend. So, but you know what? He was there, he played, but we're going to keep tabs on these guys as the season keeps going on. And we hope you guys, can give them much love as they gave us love while they were here for Pittsburgh.
We wish them well.
And also, when we come back for commercial, we want to talk quickly about what's going on Facebook here for Steeler Nation Live and the things that are happening out there and what your fans are saying here on Steeler Nation Live.
We'll be right back after this commercial break. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, look no further than Dan Powell. Dan knows that buying or selling a home is one of the most important things you will ever do. Dan wants to make that experience as smooth and successful as possible. Dan's extensive expertise in the real estate market will benefit you whether you're looking to buy or sell a home. Once Dan knows what you want, he will work tirelessly to find the right home for you, because no one should compromise when it comes to such a huge purchase. Whether you're looking for homes for sale, moving resources, or even mortgage information, everything you need is right here with Dan.
Dan will always be available for personal service by phone or email, so feel free to contact him with questions at any time. So when buying or selling a home, don't get frustrated or throw in the towel. Just call Dan Powell at 585-704-8324.
Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live. I'm Big O.
I'm Big Tiz.
And right now, as you all know, we like to introduce new things to the show, keep it fresh, keep you on your toes. And it's what we're going to call it fan shout out. And what we do is we're going to comprise, Facebook and tweets or twits. I don't know if it's Twitter,
tweets from twits, either or.
Right. Not you, folks, but your opinions that you're voicing either in Facebook or Twitter. And each week we're going to get a couple of those and going to read them on the air. So hope we're not going to read any last names, just first names. And when you shout out and you want answers or something, hopefully we'll have the answers for you. Or if you just want to blurt something out, we'll respond to it. So our first shout out comes from a woman, we're hoping, Katharina, Steeler fan, dedicated Steeler fan, and her Facebook post was, Redmond needs to go. He can't hold on to the ball. Our O-line needs to figure things out, especially now that Pouncey's out. Care to respond, Big Tiz?
And she's right on all aspects. Redmond, right now, he's playing right now like he needs to go. But we'll see. You have to give him another game to try to get over those fumbles. Everybody needs a chance to try to recover and see if they can get any better. People have bad games, and let's hopefully hope that's all it was. And on the offensive side of the ball with the offensive line, we all know that's a pressing issue with the Steelers, and we hope we can get through that. And she's right on the last one with Pouncey being out. Pouncey is out, and he's out for the year, so we have to find ways to get by and survive with him being out.
That's true. Our next Facebook post comes from Bill. We lost Foote, we lost Stephen Howlings, and we lost Pouncey for the season. I've been a Steeler fan all my life, and it was very hard to watch the game yesterday. It's going to be a long season. And you know what, Bill? Let me touch base on that. You're absolutely right. We're going to make the season about as long as we can. And hopefully that we survived injuries before. Granted, when we do something, we do it big. And these are just bench warmers. These are starters. These are all pros. These are future Hall of Famers. And we're just, it's hard to watch. Drink more beer. Ease the pain. But no, I'm just kidding, Bill. We can expect nothing but better things. We can't get any lower than we are right now. When you only score 2 points out of 3 quarters and almost 3.5 quarters. So we can expect nothing but up from here, Bill. So continue to watch, continue to root. You're a Steeler fan all your life, and we love you for that because that's what we are.
That's it.
And our final one comes from Roman. Even if I could say his last name, I'd probably butcher it. And Roman, if you're watching the show, you better be. His comment was, Todd Haley's play calling is a joke. The O-line is horrible. Again.
Well, like I said, he's frustrated like any other Steeler fan, and the frustration is building and building and building. As you can see, he said again, and it's something that's repeated and has been repeating for a long time, and we have to put an end to it. So that's why I said the Steelers this week, and they have to make a stand, especially from the offensive line side of the ball.
Absolutely. And I think me and Roman were going back and forth on Facebook earlier today, kind of talking about it. Is it the play calling per se, or is it the non-execution of the plays? Maybe Haley's a genius. You know what? He can only tell you what the play is. You have to execute it, and you have to do it. Maybe it's just not all on him. Maybe it's the players as well.
Hey, we want to thank you guys for your posts that you give on Facebook. We're going to keep doing it and putting your names out there. We want to show the love to you because you're showing it back to us here on Steeler Nation Live.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go back to commercial. When we come back for commercial, we're going to give you our final thoughts here on Steeler Nation Live, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
And this is when Big Tiz has his meltdown. Time to pay some bills. We'll be right back.
Uniform Express, located on 1408 Buffalo Road, Rochester, New York, for your police, fire, or EMS supplies. One of Rochester's top and finest suppliers of shirts, pants, shoes, boots, and accessories for your professional uniform needs. Uniform Express also does embroidery and screen print for team uniforms, jerseys, and corporations. Hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can also go to their website at www.uniformexpress.com or call Brian at 585-529-4245. That's 585-529-4245. And let Brian know you heard his ad on our show, Steeler Nation Live.
Welcome back to Steeler Nation Live. I'm Big O.
I'm Big Tiz.
And this is the part of the show where we end it with our final thoughts. And since Big Tiz is the man, and he always goes first, I thought that I'm going to give him a little space, move out of his way, because Big Tiz is out of control today. Okay? And when he starts swinging, I don't want to be at the end of those swings. So, Big Tiz, this is you. It's your show right now.
Thanks, Big O, because I'm going to need it. It's going to be a lot of things said. Sorry, Steeler fans. This is a hard-fought season. And I'm talking to you guys out there who are Steeler fans, the hardcore Steeler fans, the guys that's going to be there for the Steelers through the thick and the thin. You know what? The Steelers are going to have a rough road this year, and I'm speaking to you guys that are hardcore Steeler fans. The Steelers are going to go through maybe even a 6-10 season from the way I seen the start of the season started. I mean, they played the Titans played them tight, and the Steelers showed no offense, lackluster life, and it's going to be a long season. So I want to let the guys out there know, if you're a hardcore Steelers fan, you're going to be in it through the down seasons. Pittsburgh, of course, we're not used to having long down seasons, but you know what? You got to be prepared. And if you're a real Steelers fan, you're going to be there and support the black and gold. The black and gold is for life. So you guys out there who I hear bashing the Steelers, talking bad about the Steelers, you must know, if you're a real Pittsburgh fan, you got to be through it through the thick and thin. And that's coming from Big Tiz tonight. I am fired up, and tonight's going to be the night where we change the things for the Steelers. So Big Tiz on SteelerNationLive.net says, go black and gold. Big O, I'm sorry I had to rant, but like I said, I was fired up, and that was going out to all you Steeler fans who say you're Steeler fans, and you're always throwing out the dirt. So let it be known, black and gold for life. Big O, I got to turn the stage over to you. You're the man. Knock him out, brother.
All right. It wasn't that scared because I was in the other room, but I did hear him. But Big Tiz, you did hit on a lot of points. We don't want to be like those other fans, and we always said to you at the beginning when we started this Steeler Nation Live show that no matter what, we'll never bash the Steelers. What our job is to do is to get the information out to you, see what's going good, see what's going wrong, and where we're going wrong, how could we improve this? This is what we're trying to do. Are we happy? I'm not happy. This is 5 games in a row we lost.
Exactly.
Nobody's going to be happy about that. But we're not going to sit here. We're not going to bash Tomlin. We're not going to bash Haley, Roethlisberger, and all the other guys who didn't seem that they want to come to play so far this season. Like I said, so far this season.
Push it, baby. Push it.
We have time. This is what a learning process is all about. People, we cannot and will not get into a new system right away, especially not to make excuses about injuries or new system, stuff like that. This is something that develops. We weren't a dynasty overnight.
Exactly.
We are something we built on from 1933 up until now. Were there times and periods where we sunk to our lowest? Yeah, there were 6-9 seasons. There were games where we were just blown out, like we didn't even show up. But you know what? That's what a true fan is. A true Steeler fan not only bleeds black and gold, but is there to pick up their teammates, their fellow fans when they're down, and try to learn from this experience. Learn what can we do right the next time? What went wrong so we can improve on ourselves? Is there a lot of improvement? Absolutely. You can tell by 5 losses in a row, 4 preseason, and our first regular season loss to the Titans. We have a lot to work on and a lot to do. But you know what? We need to stand up. We need to fight. We need to be stronger than ever about this instead of beating down the team. Yeah, we're angry. We're frustrated. But you know what? We need to take that, focus on the positives. Take that energy, Big Tiz. Take it and use it in a good way. And hopefully, we can build on this for next game. We need to take a game one at a time. As Chuck Noll says, we don't need to look in the past. We don't need to look in the future. We need to look at the game at hand. And once we do that, focus on today's game. Not what we did last week. Not what we're looking for next week. The game today. And once we focus on that, that's how we learn. That's how we're going to build our dynasty back up. It's one game, folks. I said 12-4. We got 3 more losses to go. So let's win those games that we weren't supposed to win and make up for the game that we should have won. I'm Big O for Steel Nation Live.
I'm Big Tiz. Like I said, thanks again, guys, for supporting us, and we appreciate everything, Facebook, Twitter. We love you guys, and we're going to give the support back to you here on Steel Nation Live. So, again, like you said, from Big Tiz and Big O, another successful show here on Steel Nation Live.
We'll see you next Monday night in Cincy.